Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is HowFast. A couple weeks ago I had mentioned to you that we would probably be doing an interview or two, and today's the day. You know on this channel that not only do we do the race car build and maintenance on E90s and big black GMC trucks, I also go around to local race events and local car shows and pretty much anything relating to cars, and today is no different. About a month ago I read on Facebook that there was a petition going around for there to be a racetrack, a drag strip in Windsor, my hometown, home city. And there are a couple gentlemen who are kind of heading this up, so I thought it'd be really great to reach out to them, see what they're up to, see what the idea is behind it, and see if there's any way we can help. So I'm going to jump in Hildy right now. We're going to head all the way down to Windsor, and we're going to catch up with these guys, see what they got to say. Guys, I'm here with Jim Pollier. Now, I had mentioned that I had read an article about a change.org petition to have a racetrack, a drag race circuit, put here in Windsor, Ontario, which is where I'm from originally. And I thought it was a great idea. But it sounds like there's a lot more to this than just the racetrack itself. So I want to say thanks, Jim. Thanks for coming, and thanks for having me over.
No problem.
So tell me a bit about yourself, Jim.
Myself, grew up in Windsor. Started out playing with mini bikes and skating on ponds and playing hockey like most kids around here.
You got to playing with a lot of motorsports.
Dirt bikes and mini bikes and you name it, hunting and bow hunting.
And when did you get into cars like this?
Got into cars seriously into drag racing at the age of about 15, 16.
I think what most guys do.
And before that I started out in circle track.
Now they had a racetrack down here.
We had Checker Flag,
yeah,
which was 3/8 mile oval on 42. The dragway on Manning and Baseline.
Manning and Baseline.
Right, that only lasted for like 3 years.
Couple years, right?
Yeah.
And it was short-lived.
Very short-lived.
Did you ever get to attend there?
I got to attend there once. I was only about 6, 7 years old when that was.
Oh, yeah.
After reclipping a number of cars and helping do everything from bodywork to whatever was necessary to get the car back to the track the following week. Yeah. Decided that I had enough of circle track and rebuilding cars. Right. I wanted some fun time and build something that I could have for a while, so I jumped ship and went drag racing instead.
I always compare drag racing to golf and circle track to football. So
pretty much,
you know, you're out there with circle track. You're out there with a bunch of guys. They can affect whether you finish the night or not. Yep. Whereas drag racing, it's you against yourself and your car, and what the other guy does in the other lane really doesn't affect you unless he
stays
in his lane, right?
Exactly.
So your friend, is it Giuseppe?
Giuseppe. What happened was, and this was a really weird thing. One night he was on Facebook and seen this change.org thing, and he's like, "Oh, we need a drag track around here." Did this change.org deal
put it together
to just see what kind of response, or just to see, you know, lighten the mood for everybody. And it blew up.
Yeah.
It literally blew up. And then when everyone started contacting him, he didn't know, or he doesn't know a lot about actual racing, and doesn't have a lot of familiarity with racing. So he asked me, hey, I need someone that knows about racing and that's been involved in racing, and asked me if I would do it as well.
You had mentioned, while we were talking here earlier, you had mentioned that you know, there's more to just the track and the racing side of things, right?
Yeah.
So was that your idea of how this would come together, or is that the hope?
Well, his original intention was more for a racing facility, more drag strip, and I look at it as like in Grand Bend. Paul's a smart guy, and he's once he purchased the racetrack, he started doing other things. He did the Legends racetrack there, and now in the pits of the actual drag strip, he's got a road course and everything there, which is necessary. You gotta meet
broaden your horizons, right?
Exactly. You gotta meet all of the demands of the racing environment. And I wanted to take it one step further, because there's a lot of downtime where he's not able to use his track because of weather constrictions and everything up there, which is totally understood. Where I've myself, some of my friends, and after speaking to Giuseppe, tuned him in that, hey, it's got to be a whole community deal.
Yeah.
If it's not a community deal, you're not going to get anybody involved.
Right.
So if
And you might actually end up butting heads with some community members.
Exactly.
Because I was going to say, noise restrictions are also obviously a problem. Right?
Yeah, noise restrictions. So you'd have to do barriers or berms or buildings or something to surround the place. And rather than do barriers and berms, if you can have businesses that could run out of there year round and use the facilities, that is a win-win on everybody's part. And then if you mainly establish everything for children, like there'd never be a charge for a child to enter the property.
Right.
There'd be mentorship programs and facilities in my vision of having different aspects of any normal education that is necessary. For instance, everything to do with transportation, car building, chassis building, bodywork, trades,
Yeah.
as far as heavy equipment operation and maintenance, truck driving schools.
So this would be a drag circuit, road circuit, trades complex, training facility, I mean, an all-around business complex.
Used as a business complex and as part of an educational process, because that's what it's all about, is getting the kids involved, getting them trained, getting them to understand what's actually going on and how it needs to be built and how it needs to be maintained and safely operated. And that's the biggest factor, is safely operated.
Right. Do you know how much land they would actually need? Is there an estimate of, do you have any ideas?
So if you can do something like Alex Pinsnow from Build-A-Mold years ago envisioned building a racetrack in the Comber area and purchased property in that area and right off of 77.
I heard that got squashed though, didn't it?
It did get squashed because they wanted him to pay for the off-ramps off the 401. And he was willing to up to a certain point until they doubled or came up with a ridiculous figure. He was willing to help them out with it, even though it wasn't going to be owned by him. It's municipal property. So he more or less hit enough fences that he said, hey, enough's enough. And if he would have been able to do it, it would have been awesome. We would have had F1 circuit, everything right there. But it got squashed, and he took his money and went and bought 2 different racetracks in the States and redid those, and those are premium facilities. And the ideas that he had was just absolutely awesome. And I've been to those facilities, and they're really good facilities.
So it probably, we're looking at somewhere in the tens of millions of dollars to get something like this up and running.
And if I won the lottery, I would be out.
If I would be with you, man. I would be with you. So, I mean, I guess in order to get that kind of money, you either need a really big investor or several sponsors to come along. So, I guess the question would be, like, what would the sponsor look like? What would the ideal sponsor be?
For one, you could, since it's all going to be mostly about the kids and mentorship, getting the colleges involved and training courses in there, automotive design engineering, CAD/CAM, all of that stuff can be done there, rather and hands-on, not just sitting in a classroom. Classroom education only takes someone so far. Right. You have to apply it.
Hands-on. So, number one, I think the petition is at 5,000 plus views or plus signatures.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a while, because I know and we did get contacted by a number of people, but there's only so many areas that it could be ran in, and there is some deals in the works to try and get something going, but it's going to be met with a lot of stuff, because most of the focus that everybody's always tried to do is that it's just going to be a racetrack. Right. Well, on that note, that's a dying issue, because they're not building any more land, and the areas of land that are available for something like this are shrinking. So
Do you expect pushback from the community?
I
mean, if we could convince everyone that it was actually something that, for an education and a complex and all these good things that we're talking about today.
Well, I could see people having a very much idea that, hey, this is going to ruin our lives, it's going to ruin our livelihood, da, 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 da. But when it's about the kids, if you can sit someone down and say, hey, do you want your grandkids sitting in the house in the basement all day playing with their Wii and with their Nintendo and everything, playing all these games, staying up till all hours of the night, and not even seeing the light of day? Or do you want them outside learning skills that you can rest at night knowing that your kids are going to be educated, they have a talent, they have a skill, they have something that can be applied, and they can help everybody else out? So it just provides something that people can actually know that the world is turning the way it's supposed to be and not in a spiral going down.
Which is the way it seems lately.
Yeah, exactly.
Does this have something that has to be like? Is this a proposal that has to be brought forward to the city because of that, or is it something that someone privately could do on their own land if they owned enough land?
It has to be a community deal. If it's not a community deal, it's going to get squashed instantly. But if you had a community deal, for instance, a large enough pavilion that stuff could be done there year round, even
like a community center,
even roller skating, you name it, all the stuff that they took from us over the years, drive-in, like stuff like that. If you could promote any of that on the property, then you got
one-stop shop
year round. Have a coffee shop, a restaurant, an ice cream shop. People would come for miles around just for a day trip.
I'd come. So I guess one last question: what can people do to help?
The biggest thing that people can do to help is, in my eyes, focus on the kids' mentorship, getting kids involved. I promote and always have promoted when parents bring kids to the track. They're always usually getting dragged along and don't touch this, don't touch that. Where when I see them, it's like, hey, you want to get a picture of your son in my car? Really? You'll do that? And I do it all the time. With my old 37, with my other car, I used to have little, they call them hero cards, but it was just a picture of the car. And you get to the kid, and they can let them have a picture in the car. So they create a memory, and they take that little poster or postcard, whatever, and put it in their bedroom. It's a memory that they have for life. And maybe it'll spark someone like it did to me. And most kids are apt to try and follow the things that their parents like somewhat. They're not all rebellious. They want to sort of do things that a family situation can be done in.
Like the kids, right? Essentially what you're saying is what can people do to help is get kids involved so that the sport doesn't die.
Yes.
Anyway, Jim, I think that's enough for today, but thank you so much, man. Thank you.
No
Thank you for
problem.
having me over and talking.
No problem at all. I'm just one of those guys that likes to think ahead and have always tried to solve whatever.
Okay, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. I wanted to give a big thank you to Jim for sitting down, taking the time to meet with me today and talk about the possibility of maybe having a drag circuit or build some sort of drag complex in the Windsor Lakeshore, Southern Ontario area. I think it's great, and I really would love to help. So, if, again, Jim or anybody out there, if there's any way that HowFast can help, please reach out to me at howfast10@gmail.com and let me know. I'd be more than happy to do whatever I can. I also was thinking that, in that circuit, in that complex, there would be an opportunity for a great place for ATVs and snowmobiles. Jim had mentioned something about snowmobiles, but ATVs as well. I know that recently I've been hearing a lot of complaints from farmers about, ATVs tearing up their fields and losing crops and losing money. If we could all come together and have maybe some sort of contribution from the farmers towards this kind of complex, maybe there could be a large ATV snowmobile area within there that the people in the ATV community could all come around and they could have a great, safe, fun, local place for them to all ride their machines in. I think that would be a great opportunity. Something to keep in mind. While I was out at Jim's there and I was interviewing him, I wondered if any of you noticed what shirt I was wearing. You recognize that? That's the new Monster Dudgy t-shirt. They are complete. I have them now ready for pre-order, and I'm getting ready to send out Craig's How Fast trivia package. So congratulations, Craig. It's coming out now. It's in the mail. And speaking of trivia, let's talk about last week's question. So last week's question was, Mitsubishi named their K car a small city car after which vegetable? Your options were A, lettuce, B, carrot, C, onion, or D, cabbage. The correct answer was carrot, and Natalie got the correct answer. I pinned her answer, so congratulations, Natalie. This week's question, quite a bit harder, so hope you guys got your thinking caps on. The KR200 was a bubble car produced by which aircraft manufacturer? Is it A, Boeing, B, Messerschmitt, C, Lockheed, or D, Vickers? So I look forward to hearing you guys' comments and questions down below. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know it's a little bit different from what we usually do, but I think it's an important topic, something that needs to be discussed, and I would love to see something like that come to fruition down here in this part of Ontario. So next week, guys, we're going to keep working on Dudgy here. I promise you we'll get those calipers on and the brake lines run, and I also have some really exciting news about the first startup of Dudgy's 6-liter engine, and the upcoming episodes. So stay tuned. I'll catch up with you guys next time. Find out how fast we can make this car go.